Welcome to Journey with Lay podcast. We discuss leadership, culture, and how to take your business to new heights. Your host, Lay Wang, is an adventurer, motivational speaker, and executive coach. Join us each week to learn how you and your team can reach your highest aspirations. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hey everyone, welcome to Journey with Lay on Leadership, where business leaders come to learn how to create cultures of excitement, build a highly engaged team, and take your business from good to extraordinary. I'm your host, Lay Wang. As an adventurer, motivational speaker, and executive coach, I believe if you dare to dream it, you can achieve it. Join me every week to learn how you can reach your highest aspirations while living an exciting and balanced life, so you can take your teams and business to new heights with ease and grace. Now, let's go. But first, I have a quick announcement. I'm launching a 5-week intense coaching program for leaders who want to take their team to the next level. In short 5 weeks, you will transform your group into a winning team. There are no bluff, just concrete steps and actual implementations. 5 weeks sounds short, but I have the confidence you can do it. You will start to see transformations in your team and business well before 5 weeks end. Results guaranteed. Reach out to me at lay@journeywithlay.com if you want to get lasting results fast. So now let's welcome our amazing guest today. So this is a woman who I really admire, and she is one who inspired me to start this podcast. So her name is Andrea Heuston. She is a best-selling author, award-winning entrepreneur, and there's some other things I want to ask about. Is she's also a creative magician, script whisperer, set director, and champion of female leaders. So it's a lot of things we're going to cover today. So hi, Andrea. Thank you.
Hi, Lay. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yes, thank you. I'm so excited to have you because you are the one got me into this podcast business. So I want to clarify those lines I discovered on your LinkedIn: creative magician, whisperer, set director, and of course, I know you're the champion of female leaders. Would you mind to tell us a little bit more about your background, all those your secret talents?
Oh my goodness, there's so much to tell. So I have been in the design industry since 1988. So yes, I'm really old. But I started as a technical illustrator at an engineering firm and worked my way up to run the entire creative services department. When I was laid off, they called me a few days later. They'd been purchased by a big French firm, and they said, "We need you to come back and implement our brand change." And I literally said, "I will call you back." This is before we had cell phones. I said, "I'd call you back." It was also before the World Wide Web in a big way. And I drove myself to the state capitol and I got myself a business license. And my company, Artitudes Design, was born. And from there, we've done so many things over the last 26 years. But one of the things I've done for a long time is I speak and I coach speakers. So the fun part of that is, and we just did TEDx Seattle. So my team came in and did all the design work, the lower thirds, the presentation design, and we helped backstage. And I had the privilege, the humbling privilege of coaching 2 of the speakers this year. So it's almost a pivotal point for me because I've been coaching speakers forever. But within that, I'm a script whisperer. So people will start with a script and they always sound canned. They always sound like they're writing their script because that's what they're doing. But you don't want to speak to an audience as if you've written to them because that's not how you connect with your audience. The way to connect with your audience is to change some of those words to make more sense in a conversation. And an example I would give you is one of my speakers kept saying, "Furthermore." Well, very few people say furthermore in real life conversations. Generally, that's kept for writing. So instead of saying furthermore, I trained her to say and this is what I'm doing, and that kind of thing. And so it really helped her connect to the audience more. So I will whisper scripts. So I'll go in and I'll change content so that it's a lot more accessible, but it's also a really good way to connect with your audience. The other thing I love to do in that you just asked about is set direction. I adore creating impactful visuals for people, but that includes the set. That includes the colors behind them, where the microphone is placed, other things that happen, and making sure that it's all accessible, because accessibility is very, very important right now. Well, it's important all the time, but it's become a buzzword. So I like to make sure that things are accessible to the audience. I think the other one you asked was creative magician. And I would say after 31 years in the business, I'm highly creative, but I'm also a strategy expert. So I don't actually do the work anymore. I have a whole team that does that, but I have the creative vision, and it is magic in order to transform something from blah to something that really connects with an audience and is compelling. It makes them do something and it connects. So
Wow.
did that answer your question, Lay?
Yeah, I can see why magician, whisperer, all those things are in your bio, and I'm totally mesmerized at how you tell your story. No wonder you are the coach for the TEDx speaker. But my question for you is, you have so many talents, but we all know to start a business, talents is not what we like, all we need. There's much, much more beyond that. So my first question is, when you said 24 years old, right? That time?
It was, yeah.
Have that courage. You have all the talent, we understand. How did you have the courage and the gut to jump into the car and start running your business?
Well, so I have a saying, I jump off a building and I grow wings before I hit the bottom. And that is really something I've always done. And sometimes I don't think, and sometimes I don't look both ways, and I just jump. And so really, I try to learn quickly what I need to do, but I also rely on the resources around me, be it people, be it other sources, be it, systems and processes, but things that really help me shine. And for me, I didn't ever want somebody else to control my own destiny or my destiny again. I wanted to control my own. And that was why I decided to jump off that building and grow wings before I hit the bottom. But the other thing I would say is I don't fear failure. I have a theory that is fail forward. And if you're failing forward, you're always taking what you're learning from whatever situation you're in, and it's no longer a failure. It's a stepping stone to success. And so I use that constantly. I can't tell you how many times I've failed, but I've always moved forward.
I love that story. Now I really want to know. Tell me a story when you considered yourself failed.
Oh, there's been so many failures over the years. I will tell you a story, and I'll keep it brief, and we'll have all the names changed. But my very first employee stole from me. And I had no idea she was doing so because I trusted implicitly in the bookkeeper I had hired. So I really didn't understand finances. I didn't understand my books, but I trusted these people. And so when I finally fired her for other reasons, she was not a very good employee. I found out through some digging, I would call it forensic digging, that she had been stealing from me by padding her expense report. And so I had just signed the checks. My bookkeeper, they were in cahoots, and my bookkeeper just would send me a check to sign. She's like, I need you to sign these checks. So I would just sign them. And I really didn't have any idea of what I was signing. And so what I took from that, first of all, is I needed to hire better people. In my gut, I didn't want her in the first place, but she came to me from two different sources in my life that didn't even know each other. And so I thought, okay, this is the perfect person for me, even though I don't really think I want her. So I learned how to hire better. And let me say, there's been a lot of mistakes on the road with that. But I also learned that I am the only person who really needs control of my finances, and not to trust anyone, no matter how trustworthy I think they are, really to trust myself. And so now I look at everything.
Great. Yeah, so I definitely understand that hiring is very difficult. And also like part of my coaching leaders is my focus is more coaching on how to build a great team, build a team that is engaged, motivated. So I wonder, from your experience, how do you make sure you hire the right person from that lesson? And also, how do you make sure you keep your team motivated?
Oh, that's two very different things. But for me, hiring the right people has become almost magic because I don't do it. So I have a fabulous team that I will interview somebody, but I'm not the first person in line to interview them. And if I refer somebody in because I'm excited by them or I think they'd be a perfect fit, I don't interview them. Case in point is we had a project manager we hired, I think it's been about 4 years now. She was Danish. Now, I used to live in Denmark and I'm fluent in the language. So I speak 7 languages, but Danish is one of them.
I didn't know that.
And I wanted her on our team, but I told her, I said, I would love to interview, but I'm not going to. My entire team will interview you first before I talk to you, because I don't even get to talk to you if you don't pass with them. And so they did interviews with her and they loved her because she had the skills to be an excellent project manager and she'd done it for years before. And so once that was done, I then got a chance to put my stamp on it, but I was not the decision maker. And so by doing that, because I have hired the worst people on earth before, and I've hired some pretty amazing people, I've learned lessons about don't hire friends, don't hire friends' kids, don't hire somebody just because they look good on paper. Don't hire somebody who comes in and solves your problems right away. Because the person I did with that, she ended up throwing a chair at a contractor and we ended up in a lawsuit. So like I said, I don't hire anymore. As a general rule, I let other people do it. Now, keeping my team motivated is an entirely different story. We have a focus on culture, and we've won many awards for best places to work in Washington State and in the Seattle area. But we really focus on a rewarding culture, but also one where people have a voice. So instead of a top-down culture, we really look at it as a bottom-up. So I want people to say what they need in order to feel comfortable. So by building a culture where people are recognized, they're also allowed to fail, and we can take whatever lesson we learned and fail forward. It makes it a culture that appreciates people, and therefore they want to stay, and they really work well together. I have the best team ever.
I love that. So many leaders say they focus on their people first. So to really build a bottom up, people focus culture, I bet it's not a simple, smooth process. So
No.
to get that started, and what are some of the bumps that you went through?
For culture specifically, well, we hire on cultural fit now. So like I said, I don't hire, but that's the first thing we look for is a cultural fit. The thing about culture is it has to be organic because you bring somebody new onto the team and they need to figure out how to be part of the team, but the team needs to also figure out how they're going to take their unique abilities and talents and work together for the greater good. So culture is super important for me. I believe that happy employees make for happy clients.
Definitely.
And so it's not the opposite way. And if my employees, they're my first clients. If they're not feeling supported and creative and they're not able to work in such a way that the culture supports them, then they're never going to create what we need to create for our clients. So we've fired on culture before, or people have self-selected out. One of the things we look for is a positive attitude. I'm not saying toxic positivity. I just want people who see the bright side, because we really have to focus on the bright side, especially in these times. So if I have somebody who's not proactive, who's not positive, they're probably not going to get hired. We need people who will do things and not wait to be told. So culture is very, very important. It makes you feel like you're in a group that really supports you, that has your back. And that's what I want. I don't want any infighting. I don't want anyone talking about people. I don't want cliques. I think it's important to really realize that everyone is part of a greater whole and to give everyone that same weight so they can move forward confidently and in a way that they can connect with each other.
I love how your passion comes through all this. And I'm totally on the same page about the positive, about the excitement, because I totally believe for a leader to success, you have to grow your team, make your team success. And
Yes.
When your team are excited, can your customers be excited?
Yes.
But the question is, for the past 18 months, everyone knows how the life works. So I wonder, are there any specific things you did to keep the team together, motivated, to keep everyone on the upbeat side, despite all the hurdles, all the challenges?
Yes. So first and foremost, we decided to become a virtual company. I know that some people will argue with that and say that's not the best idea as we move forward. But for us, it works really well. So now I have employees in 4 different states and they can work wherever they want as long as they get the work done and connect with the clients and each other as needed. But we've done a couple of things. We have a Monday morning meeting where we huddle and we really have great conversations with each other and we work to have great conversations with each other. So there's that. That's the first thing. So we do this Monday morning huddle, but we talk things like we do icebreakers. So this week, funny enough, we actually talked about what's your favorite Thanksgiving food. Last week, we talked about what's your least favorite Thanksgiving food. So it's been really interesting to hear those things. But we do other things like icebreaker questions and things like that. But the other thing we've done since COVID began is we've done things like happy hours. So every month or so, we have a happy hour with the team. Sometimes we send a gift out, like we've sent candy gifts out, we've sent cookies, we've sent plants, we've sent all sorts of fun little things so people feel connected. And then we also have this happy hour has no business questions. Nothing, we don't talk about business. We just talk with each other. And it's been really valuable. We also did a cooking class with a Seattle company called the Tableless Travel. And that may have been our absolute favorite thing that we did. We made holiday cookies last year. And we all got together on Zoom with the chef who walked us through everything. And the chef was from Italy. It was really, really amazing. Little things that keep us together, even though we're apart.
Wow, that sounds so exciting. I bet many people hearing like, I want to know what is that Italian chef? What is that? What a table on the
It's called the Tableless Travel, and
table
the
less
CEO
travel?
is Annie Chang, and she's online. It's at thetablelesstravel.com. She started, it's a great pivot story. She started, or she's always been a travel company that has travel and food intermixed. And when COVID hit, she went, my business is gone. What do I do? So she quickly created a pivot and she does these cooking classes. And if you're local, she'll even send you the ingredients. And she sources them all locally too. Very, very cool.
Wow. Now I want to pick more. What other ideas you had during the COVID? What other fun things you did?
We've done a lot of fun things. We've done art together. So we used to in person do Monday morning meetings with art. So everyone would have a chance to bring something creative in. Like Heather would bring in cupcakes and we would decorate cupcakes. And then Laurel would bring in painting things. So we would paint together. So we always had something creative going on. And it was hard when we went virtual because how do you do art online? So we've done that a number of times. We've had some fun exercises. We've drawn faces. And so it's like a tutorial. Somebody gives a tutorial and walks you through it. And that's been fun. We've also done a cocktail class where we sit around and create craft cocktails for our happy hour. Just little things like that pull people together so that we feel like we're part of a whole instead of individuals in front of, video cameras on Zoom.
Now I totally see why you are called the creative magician. That is like a magician. And
Thank you.
yeah, and so I understand a lot of leaders are more focused on getting things done. No matter what's going on, we still have to deliver business. And at the same time, we do need to balance with managing people, connect with people. And I know you did so much in connecting your team. So I wonder how to balance this too. Like what's the percentage of meeting dedicated for either side of the purpose or schedule different meetings?
Oh, I don't have any balance, Lay. I will tell you that right now. I don't currently have any balance when it comes to meetings. But I hired somebody who is now my fractional VP of operations. So he works part-time, but he is the core to the operations now. And so he meets with every employee. He does every other week. So every other week, each employee gets a meeting with him to talk about things and to see if he needs to elevate anything to me. I also have tried to start doing Fridays where I'll have a lunch meeting, Zoom, and anyone can join in. And those are fun too, so that I can stay super connected. But frankly, it's been hard with COVID because what happened is I opened up my schedule and I'm all virtual now. And so it just fills up and up and up. So I've been careful lately to schedule 2 days, like Mondays and Fridays. I don't take any meetings that are through my calendar link. Instead, those are scheduled for internal meetings or client meetings. And that's worked really well. But balance, I think balance is a myth, really. And I've said that for years. You have to be fully present wherever you are to be successful. So if I'm with my family, I am fully present with my family. If I'm with my clients, I'm fully present with my client. If I'm with my team, I'm fully present with them. And so that's how I find personal balance is really about being present.
I love that. And I totally agree because I know balance have been talked so many years. And the truth is, you really cannot just juggle two things at the same time. You have to choose what's your focus, be clear
Yes,
what's your priority. Then
absolutely.
you have the balance this time, and that time you balance on another thing. I think that's how you balance it all about priorities.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree. And I think at different times of our lives, we have different priorities. And so when you have small children, you're really focused on those children, and that's what they need, and that's what you need. But when you're growing a business, you have to find time to focus on the business. So the 40-hour work week is a myth too. I mean, there's some weeks I'll spend 30 hours on the business. There's some weeks I'll spend 60 hours on the business. It's whatever it needs.
Yeah, and especially during the COVID, I know, especially for a lot of women in business, women in leadership, not
Yes.
only they have to handle the work, they also need to handle the kids at the home or
Yes.
husband at home, a lot of things all mixed together. So how do you help your employee to navigate in this situation?
So it is hard. It's a difficult time, and especially for women. And I have the Lead Like a Woman show. We talked a little bit about that because you were a guest on my fabulous show, which I really appreciate.
Thank
And
you.
it's where we're empowering female leaders to empower others. But what I have heard a lot of is that it's really hard. So women do the majority of the work at home. I have a fantastic husband who is very helpful, who does stuff. But really, if it comes down to it, and there's an orthodontist appointment for our son, that's up to me, not up to him. And part of the reason is I took control of it early on. So it's not as if I took it away from him or tried to give it to him. It's just that I did it. So I think women have this innate need to nurture. And so they do the things they need to do in order to do that, but it adds work hours every time or hours to our day every time. And I think a lot of women have come out of the workforce since COVID began because they can't do everything. And especially with small children, you absolutely have to focus on them. And last year specifically was super hard in 2020 because these kids weren't in school. They were learning on computers and they didn't have a teacher there. And so the parent had to become the teacher as well. We're at female employment rates that we haven't seen since the 1980s. It's very sad. And I can only hope that the companies have learned something. Those companies who've learned and start to offer childcare subsidies or childcare specifically are the ones that are going to rise to the top and make it and really bring the females back in. And I believe the companies need a good mix. They must have females at the top of the chain as well, because if they don't have a balanced company.
Definitely, I totally agree. And I in my coaching, I also see a lot of female leaders are a little bit shy about getting that visibility to make themselves bigger. Do you see that?
See that? Yeah, I do. Females want that visibility. The problem is most of us have been behind the curtain for years and years and years. I mean, I grew up in a family that was a very male dominated family, and it really honored and celebrated male traits. So I grew up not necessarily believing I could do anything I wanted to do. Really, my belief that was I was supposed to be a mother and a wife. Those were the things that I was supposed to be good at, not running a business. So for me to push through that, it took a lot of courage. It's not the same thing now. The younger generations believe anything is possible, which I think is beautiful and amazing. But there's still an effort to push through to be noticed and to be recognized. It's a lot of effort.
Yeah, and I know you are expert in PR, in visibility. So I wonder if you can give some advice to our audience, especially the female leaders, what are something they can do to step up on their PR, their visibility?
So I really think being out there is important, but being out there where people can see you is important. So I am not a social media person, and I'm going to tout social media. And I have a specific example. I have a woman that I have mentored for about 2 years now who is amazing. And she works for a firm in Texas. And we started coaching or mentoring because she really needed to own her own power and figure out how to move forward and move into different roles. And in the time I've been mentoring her, she's moved up 3 different roles. And now she's running a team of people. And she's ever so grateful to me. And I said, no, Christine, it is you who's done this. But she said, I never would have had the courage to do this without you. One of the things she did is she started posting on social media. And I had to guide her through that process. I had to say, if you want to be visible within your company, you need to post about what your company does and repost. So take some of the stuff they've done, comment on it, and repost. So if you're looking to be more visible at a level like that, you really have to, ask for what you need. So asking for what you need is super hard for women. We don't like to ask for help. It's against our natures. We can do it all. Ask for help. Ask for what you need from senior leadership. Ask for what you need. If you need a coach, if you need a mentor, ask. The second thing I would say you need to do is really make yourself visible. And say it's in a meeting on Zoom or a team meeting in person, you need to own your own voice. A lot of us as women who grew up, especially in the era I did, sit back and let the men talk. Don't do it anymore. You need to own that room. You belong at that table. You deserve a seat at that table. You are equal to the people you are sitting with because of who you are. So don't ever doubt that. And if you're walking into a room and you feel intimidated by the men or the other people in the room, I want you to say to yourself, I belong at this table. And it will help you so much. Then the third thing I would say is really, if you need the visibility within a bigger company or with a bigger group, own your social media. I actually hired somebody to do a lot of my social media because I don't know TikTok very well, even though they're a client of ours, and I don't know Instagram very well, but I really need to be there because that's where the conversations are happening. That was a long answer, Lay, but you've got me passionate about things again. I believe that all women rise with the incoming tide. And so that's based on the quote, "A rising tide lifts all boats" by John F. Kennedy. And I thoroughly believe we can all help each other rise.
Yeah, definitely. If anyone want to get more about this, I would suggest you check out Andrea's profile on LinkedIn and Facebook, see how she's doing this. She's just marvelous without just overselling herself. She's presenting what she's doing and see how she can support others. That's how I got inspired by Andrea. And I suggest everyone go check out Andrea's profile. And would you please tell us what's your link and how they find you?
Oh, thanks, Lay. So you can find all of my information at AndreaHeuston.com. So it's AndreaHeuston.com. And I'm sure that'll be in the show notes as well. I'm also a very large voice on LinkedIn, especially when it comes to elevating women. And it's just, again, it's Andrea Heuston.
Thank you, Andrea. And so we talked about the coaching and the personal growth. So I wonder, would you mind to share some stories of your personal mentor or coach, how they inspired you? How did you find your coach, your mentors?
My goodness, I have had so many mentors. I will tell you that. And so many coaches. When I started my business 25 years ago, I knew I needed a coach. And ever since, I've had so many of them. One of my coaches that I had at the beginning of when I incorporated the business, which was about 16 years ago, really helped me through. And I currently have a coach as well. And they're all these people who surround me with goodness and support to help me rise. And I believe that's what we all need to do. I want to share a quote that I got from one of my mentors. And this was the one who really, really helped me grow my business. I went from 1 person to 10 under his tutelage. And the quote was, "Come at everything from a position of abundance, and you will always have enough." And so all over my house and my computer and my office, I have the word abundance on sticky notes. So I can always remember that my mindset needs to be one of abundance and not of need.
I love that. Last year when the new year started, I made a bracelet for my wish, and it was abundance on my bracelet.
Isn't that amazing? What that does for your mental mind shift as well. You're not needing something. I don't need, I have enough.
Yeah, and a lot of that subtle message to yourself can shift how you feel. Like the whole 2020, even though everything outside me is kind of crumbling, the world is falling down, but I know everything will be fine. This is a year of abundance. I'll keep on working, focus on what I need to do. Then things will be fine. So
absolutely,
it's all about mindset.
It is. It really is.
And also, so for the closing, I wonder if you can share how other women can recognize when they need a coach, when they need a mentor.
So that's an interesting thing. A lot of women are very, very specifically attuned to do things themselves. We're like, we can do it. No problem. We can do everything. We can make the dinner. We can wash the clothes, fold the clothes, make sure the kids are clean. We can run a business or we can run a team. We're very self-sufficient. But I think we need to realize that everybody can learn from somebody else. And we all have, I don't want to say weaknesses, we all have challenges that need to be focused on. And when you find yourself in a place where you don't know the answer, even if you can go out and find the answer for a leadership topic or something, that should be a clue that you should have a coach. I myself have always had a coach. I think I've only had like a year over the last 25 years where I didn't have a coach. And part of that was because I was in a coma and I was ill. So there was a reason there. But really having a coach is something super, super important. They can help you see your blind spots because we all have blind spots.
Thank you, Andrea. I totally appreciate that. But I had the same feeling like before I started having my first coach, I think I can do it. Like
absolutely.
Like, I can learn, I can do everything on my own. I don't really need other people to do it for me. I don't really need someone to hold my hand. I don't want to lean on a crutch. But once I had a coach, I learned coach actually is the easiest way, fastest way to get to success, but still on your own power. Coach doesn't do things in place of you.
No, not at all.
Help you to do it in the right way, to learn it faster. So now I almost call myself like addicted to having a coach because every time I need to learn something new, I need to find someone who can show me the way, can support me. Even like say as a coach myself, I can say I can talk myself into the mindset, encourage myself, all the positive talk. I can do everything. But when someone else believes in you, someone else give you extra power, it is so much more powerful.
Oh, absolutely. I completely agree with you. And that's why I have a coach. Is she always helps me see my blind spots. I have a female coach right now who I adore, but she always helps me see my blind spots in terms of me, but also in terms of my leadership style. I don't know what I don't know. And so I am a lifelong learner, and having a coach helps me see what I don't know and where I need to go next.
Yeah, I love that line. We don't know what we don't know.
No, we don't.
Thank you, Andrea, so much for sharing the valuable advice today. For me, I think the most valuable takeaway is we all need to support each other. We all need help. We need our network. We need our mentor. We need our coaches. And women will help to lift the tide to rise all together.
Yep, absolutely. A rising tide lifts all boats. Thank you for having me today. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being here today. So thank you all for listening to Journey with Lay on Leadership. And what's your most valuable takeaway from today's episode? What is one step that you are inspired to take? Start tapping into your powers of excitement. Take a leap of faith. Be that authentic, powerful leader you are always meant to be. Go to journeywithlay.com or email me at hello@journeywithlay.com. We will see you again next week. Have an exciting day today.
Thank you for listening to Journey with Lay. What's your most valuable takeaway from today's episode? What is one step that you are inspired to take? Start tapping into your power of excitement and become the leader you are always meant to be. If you dare to dream it, you can achieve it. Go to journeywithlay.com or email hello@journeywithlay.com. We'll see you again next week.